welcome to anyone who's watching this video. It's just a brief overview of No4 smoothing planes and what you get for your money and just my view on it. So the first one is the Nielsen. This one I've actually changed the handles out of to some vintage handles because I prefer them, but as the plane goes, I describe it as a military grade tool. It's well engineered, well made, precise and tough. I would say the only question mark on its durability is possibly a ductile cast, which in my experience pits quite easily, but that's, I would have said, the premium one. They're not cheap. They're about £420, which is a lot of money for a smoothing plane, and it's a matter of whether you feel you can justify that and what use you're going to have for it. The next one is the Clifton. This is a very nice plane. This one has the new Chrono blade in it, but it has the two-piece chip breaker in it, like the record stay set. It's a very good plane. It's very well made. It's made out of grey cast. It's not ductile steel like the others. In my opinion, the most beautiful hand plane that's ever been made. It's not quite as refined as the Nielsen in its manufacture. It's more, I would say, it's more handmade than the Nielsen. You can tell that it's been done by hand, so every single one, I would imagine, will be very slightly different, but very well made. Not as finely engineered as the Nielsen. Not as expensive, about £320, still a lot of money. But a very nice plane, and as I said, probably the most beautiful hand plane in my opinion that's ever been made. The next is the Quansheng, the Chinese plane. Very well made, not as well engineered or as well machined as the Nielsen, but still a very good plane, and you could buy one of these and it would serve you well. You can take it straight out of the box, sharpen it, and you're away to go. I'd class this as probably high end, just under high end, and probably mid-range. One of those would serve you well for £170. They do the Luban version, which is slightly cheaper, about 140. From what I can tell, it's the same plane. It doesn't have cherry handles, and it doesn't have a stainless steel cap on it. It's made out of something else, and the handles are a cheaper timber, but for the money, it's a very good plane. I'd be happy to use one of those every day. And then at the lower end, this is the new Stanley SW Sweetheart one, which I think is an excellent plane at its price point. You can get them now for just a few pounds over 100, and if you were looking for a hand plane that probably do pretty much anything you want it to do at an affordable price, I don't think you could go far wrong with one of these. Again, it's ductile cast. It may be prone to pitching, but it does have an A2 blade in it, which is exceptionally hard. It holds the edge very well. I've done quite a few modifications to this one, but purely for my own personal preference. You could take one of these, you could buy one of these straight out the box, just sharpen the blade, and you wouldn't be far off having a good plane. The advantage is maybe if you're new to planes, there's no frog to adjust. The frog is all in the body of the plane, so you haven't got to adjust it or put it where you wanted it is where it is. The only thing I would say is when you take it out, when you first get it and you degrease it, just clean all these inside edges off here of this casting, and right inside here, do all those edges and chamfer them very slightly, because when I first had mine, the blade didn't stay set very easily. It was a bit, it slid around a lot and moved around. It wasn't very stable. But all it turned out to be was burrs on that face that were interfering with the movement of the blade. Once that was deburred, it now works very well. And for the money, you're not going to get anything better really for just over £100. You're getting a good solid basic plane. Just clean the burrs off that frog surface and give it a rub and it's a way to go. It's also got an adjustable mouth on it, which is quite handy. As I said, I've modified this one quite a lot, but that was my own personal preference. There is a video on the modifications I've made to that, but that was just to lift it to somewhere where I was completely happy with it. But out the box, deburr it, it'll work, it'll do what you want, and for that sort of money you can't go wrong. I've been trying to think of cheaper options, but I think really that's about as cheap as I'd want to go with a new plane. I don't think I'd want to go anywhere below that. The new ones that I've seen, Stanley's and Records and things like that, and then you go even cheaper than that. You can buy some now at virtually £20, but if you buy one of those, you're gonna have a horrible experience with it. It's not going to be a very enjoyable journey, and I think you'd be better spending just a few more quid and getting something that's solid like that, that is basically a well-made plane. It's not without its faults, but for what you're paying for it, you're getting a lot for your money, and it does work. You haven't got to do too much to it to get it to work. Go below that, and you're probably, if you're familiar with planes and you're familiar with tinkering with planes, then you could probably refine one and get it to work. But if you're just buying a new plane and you're not really that used to using one or how to improve one, that, to my mind, that's not a bad starting point as a good solid basic plane. So I hope that's of interest to somebody, and I hope it might show some might be of interest to somebody too. And it's just my overview of what planes are available. So I would say low end, mid range, somewhere between the two, between high end and mid range is this one. It's not quite on the level of the Lee Nielsen, but as the bottom of the range, I wouldn't go any lower than that. I know it's still £100, but some of the cheaper ones you buy, you're not going to get a good experience with them. They're just going to be frustrating, and that's, I think that just about covers everything. So I hope the video's of use to somebody, and thanks for watching and take care.